Let me tell you something right now. You are one decision away from a completely different life. Not a better week. Not a slightly improved month. I'm talking about a radically different LIFE. The kind where people don't even recognize you anymore because you've grown so much, elevated so far, risen so high. Transformation does not begin with time. It begins with a decision. One firm, non-negotiable decision has more power to change your life than 5 years of indecision or halfway commitment. People often think they need more time to heal, more time to learn, more time to prepare. But what they really need is to make a decision to stop living the way they've been living and start moving toward who they were created to be. Time is neutral. Time only magnifies what you decide. If you're unclear, time will magnify confusion. If you're procrastinating, time will magnify delay. If you're afraid, time will magnify fear. But if you're decisive, time will magnify results. That's why some people make more progress in 1 week than others do in 1 year. It's not about having more time. It's about making a stronger decision. The enemy of transformation is hesitation. Every time you hesitate, you give your past the opportunity to speak louder than your future. And your past has no authority unless you give it your permission. You're not trapped because of your circumstances. You're trapped because of your indecision. One clear, aligned, committed decision breaks every chain that delay ever wrapped around you. People want guarantees. They want to know that it's all going to work out before they move. But here's the true thing. The decision comes first and the results follow. Not the other way around. Faith requires you to move when you don't see the full picture. Deciding means you stop waiting for clarity and become the source of clarity. You stop reacting and start initiating. You stop following and start leading your own life. A real decision is not, maybe, it's not. Let's see how it goes. It's not dipping your toe in the water to test the temperature. A real decision is burning the boats. It's throwing out the backup plan. It's saying, I don't care what it costs. This is the new me, and I'm not going back. Until your decision reaches that level of finality, you haven't really decided. You've only considered. Transformation doesn't ask, do I feel like it? It demands, what did I decide? Your feelings may change every day, but when your decision is rooted in vision and anchored in truth, you override feelings. You operate from identity, not emotion. And that shift changes everything. The version of you that you're trying to become isn't waiting for more time. That version is waiting for your decision. There is power in immediate decision. It sets energy in motion. It rearranges priorities. It starts attracting new opportunities. When you finally decide who you are, the universe, the people around you, the resources you need, everything begins to respond to your identity, not your wishes, not your intentions, your identity. You can't transform while you're undecided. You can't build a new life while negotiating with the old one. As long you're thinking about it, you're stuck. As long as you're almost ready, you're not moving. That's the trap. The illusion that more time will fix what only a bold decision can. You don't need more time. You need to make the decision now. You need to draw a line in the sand and say, that was the old me. This is the new me. You need to stop trying and start becoming. You need to stop discussing the change and start embodying it. The world doesn't respond to maybe. It responds to certainty. When you become certain, your steps gain momentum, your voice gains authority, and your life gains direction. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. It feels good. It feels safe. It feels familiar. But comfort is a liar. It helps us. It whispers that where you are is good enough. It tells you that pushing harder might not be worth it. It convinces you that the risk of failure is worse than the pain of staying the same. Comfort doesn't care about your potential. It only cares about your current preference. And that's why so many people never step into their greatness, because they won't step out of what's comfortable. Greatness requires tension. It demands growth. It invites pressure. And none of those things live in the comfort zone. You can't expand your capacity while remaining surrounded by ease. You can't stretch into a new identity while staying wrapped up in the habits of your past. Comfort creates stagnation. It may keep you from failing big, but it also keeps you from winning big. It shields you from pain, but it also blinds you from purpose. It's a trap disguised as a reward. The most dangerous thing about comfort is it feels justified. You work hard. You sacrifice. You've overcome some things. So you start telling yourself that you've earned the right to coast. But the moment you settle is the moment your vision begins to shrink. You stop striving. You stop creating. You stop reaching. Your fire cools down, and you begin to drift into average. Not because you lack ability, but because you chose to sit when you were supposed to climb. Comfort robs you of urgency. It delays the decision. It delays the action. It keeps you overthinking, overplanning, overanalyzing. Greatness, on the other hand, requires movement. It doesn't wait for ideal conditions. It's built in motion. You can't perfect your path before you walk it. You've got to move forward in faith, in grit, in hunger. That kind of movement will always make you uncomfortable. And that's exactly how you know you're growing. The pursuit of comfort keeps people playing small. They avoid hard conversations. They avoid challenging environments. They avoid responsibility that feels too heavy. But all of those things are necessary for becoming great. You will never meet a powerful leader, a wealthy creator, a respected voice who got where they are by staying comfortable. They stepped into discomfort. They leaned into pressure. They stretched beyond what was easy because they understood that pain is part of the process. Comfort is a breeding ground for excuses. It lets you justify why you're not where you should be. It gives you all the reasons to stay stuck. But at the end of the day, excuses don't produce results. Only action does. Only ownership does. Only sacrifice does. You cannot demand a high-level life while maintaining low-level habits. And the truth is, most of those habits are protected by your comfort zone. If you want to be great, you have to do what's uncomfortable consistently, not just once. Not just when you're inspired, every single day. You have to build discipline where there used to be distraction. You have to choose purpose when your body screams for pleasure. You have to say yes to growth when everything in you wants to quit. The pain of growth is temporary. The regret of comfort is permanent. Growth lives in unfamiliar places. It lives in the challenge, in the struggle, in the stretching. You won't find your highest self in the shallow end of life. You find it in the deep, where you're forced to rely on faith, on vision, on strength you didn't know you had. But you'll never discover that strength if you keep hiding behind convenience. The only way to reach the level you were designed for is to leave behind the life that feels easy. Faith without action produces nothing. It doesn't matter how much you believe, how much you pray, or how many affirmations you speak. If your belief never turns into behavior, your life remains the same. Faith is not just a mindset, it's a movement. It's not just an internal conviction, it's an external demonstration. True faith requires action. It requires steps. It requires decisions that align with what you say you believe. Otherwise, all you have is potential without power. There are people who speak the language of faith fluently. They know all the right phrases. They talk about abundance. They talk about purpose. They talk about calling. But their lives are filled with hesitation, procrastination, and compromise. Because deep down, they haven't matched their faith with movement. They're waiting for something to happen instead of becoming the one who makes it happen. Faith is not passive. Faith doesn't sit still. Faith builds. Faith moves. Faith creates. The problem is we've made faith a comfort zone, a place to hide behind when we don't want to act. I'm waiting on confirmation. I'm waiting on God's timing. But most of the time, it's not about waiting. It's about fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of discomfort. And so we use faith as a delay tactic instead of a launch pad. But real faith will challenge you. It will stretch you. It will push you into places that scare your old self, but call out your true self. Action proves faith. If you believe something, your life will show it. If you believe you're called to greatness, you won't keep playing small. If you believe you're meant to prosper, as it helps us, you won't keep spending like you're broke. If you believe in your assignment, you won't keep showing up late, distracted, and lazy. Your habits will reflect your faith. Your schedule will reflect your faith. Your effort, your attitude, your choices. All of it becomes evidence of what you actually believe. Some people are praying for doors that they're not willing to knock on. They're praying for blessings they haven't prepared for. That helps us. They're asking for opportunities, but won't develop the discipline to sustain them. That's not faith. That's fantasy. Because faith builds. It builds before the opportunity shows up. It prepares before the spotlight hits. It trains in the dark. It sows even when there's no harvest in sight. It shows up when nothing looks promising, because it knows that action today is the seed of elevation tomorrow. Faith is not just about believing that something can happen. It's about living like it will. It's about ordering your life around your vision. It's about waking up early, even when you're tired, because your purpose demands it. It's about investing, learning, and building, even when no one's watching. That's what separates wishful thinkers from faithful executors. It's not what they hope for. It's what they do when hope is tested. You don't move when the conditions are perfect. You move when the conviction is strong. There will never be perfect time. That's the deception of delay. Every day you wait to act, you're sending a message to your future. I don't believe in you yet. But every day you move, even when it's scary, even when it's uncertain, you're sending a new message. I'm building what I believe. Results come from movement. Miracles happen in motion. Breakthrough doesn't show up while you're standing still. You want God to bless your steps. Then you've got to take some. You want to elevate. Then act like someone who's already there. Speak like it. Walk like it. Build like it. Serve like it. Because faith is not a feeling. It's a decision to act when your flesh wants to stay still. And it's in that action that the power of faith is fully released. Stop negotiating with your old self. Your old self was built for survival, not success. It was trained by pain, limited by fear, and shaped by circumstances that were never meant to define you. And yet, every time you try to elevate, that old self wants to come to the negotiation table. It wants to have a say in your next level. It wants to bring its excuses, its doubts, its insecurities, and convince you that growth is too risky. That voice doesn't want transformation. It wants familiarity, as it helps us. It wants to take what's predictable, even if that predictability is keeping you broke, stagnant, and frustrated. Your old self knows how to stay safe, not how to succeed. It knows how to shrink, how to delay, How to stay quiet when your purpose demands a voice. It remembers the failure, the betrayal, the disappointment, and uses that memory as leverage to hold you back. But you can't take orders from a version of you that was never designed to lead. You don't owe your old self loyalty. You don't owe it justification. You don't need to sit down and explain your new standards to the part of you that's addicted to low-level living. Negotiation is what happens when you're not fully committed. It's what happens when part of you still wants the benefits of a new life while holding on to the comforts of the old one. But that's not how elevation works. You can't have new outcomes with old patterns. You can't build a future while defending your past. At some point, you have to draw a line and decide that version of you is no longer in charge. That version doesn't get to speak into your decisions, your routines, or your destiny. The most dangerous thing about negotiating with your old self is that it speaks with your voice. It sounds reasonable. It makes small compromises feel wise. It says, you've done enough today when you know you haven't. It says, take a break when you haven't earned it. It says, you'll start tomorrow, even though tomorrow is how you've delayed your vision for the last 5 years. That voice is subtle, but its effects are powerful. It keeps you in cycles that look like progress but lead nowhere. Your next level requires obedience, not negotiation. It requires alignment, not arguments. It's not a debate. You either walk in purpose or you don't. You either build or you procrastinate. You either execute or you hesitate. And every time you give your old self a voice, you forfeit the authority of the you that is disciplined, the you that is wealthy in mindset, the you that is bold, creative, clear, and decisive. That version is already in you, but it can't operate while you keep making room for who you used to be. The old self is a counterfeit leader. It remembers pain more than possibility. It chooses comfort over calling. It picks excuses over excellence. And it cannot go with you to where you're headed. Every time you try to drag it along, it slows you down. It compromises your standards. It introduces doubt into decisions that should be crystal clear. You have to be ruthless about cutting off its influence. That means new habits, new language, new environments, new relationships, and most of all, a new mindset that refuses to consult the past when building the future. Your destiny isn't up for debate. Your vision doesn't need permission from your fear. Your future doesn't require a vote from your past. The elevation of your life starts with the eviction of every thought, every behavior, and every identity that no longer serves the direction you're going. The moment you stop negotiating with your old self, you give power to the version of you that's capable of building something extraordinary. You must become unrecognizable to step into your next level. The person you are today, with the habits you've built as it helps us, the mindset you've adopted, the choices you consistently make. That version got you here, but it won't get you there. As it helps us, the next level doesn't require a better version of the old you. It demands a completely transformed one. A version so elevated in thought, in discipline, in focus, that people who used to know you no longer understand you because you've grown beyond their expectations, their limitations, and even your own past identity. People often hold on to their current self because it feels familiar. There's safety in familiarity. There's comfort in predictability. But what feels familiar is often the very thing that's limiting you. The routines, the behaviors, the relationships that once served you have now become barriers. And until you're willing to disrupt who you've been, you'll never step into who you're supposed to become. There's no transformation without disconnection. No elevation without shedding layers. Becoming unrecognizable doesn't mean you lose your core values. It means you finally start living by them without apology. It means your work ethic becomes so sharp, your presence so powerful, your thinking so elevated that the old labels, the old definitions, the old environments no longer fit. It means you stop explaining your growth to people committed to staying the same. It means you embrace becoming misunderstood, misquoted, and even criticized because you're no longer accessible to old conversations and low expectations. The world respects transformation, but often resists it in real time. When you start becoming unrecognizable, some people will feel threatened. They'll accuse you of changing, of acting different, of becoming distant. And they'll be right. You are changing. You are acting different. You are becoming distant from mediocrity, from fear, from excuses. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. You're not elevating to prove anything to them. You're elevating because your purpose demands it. Your next level requires a new rhythm, a new standard, a new intensity, and that requires you to let go of how you used to operate. That version of you that made excuses, settled for less, waited for motivation, avoided responsibility, that version has to die. You can't carry old habits into a new dimension. The weight of who you used to be will always slow down the speed of who you're becoming. And until you decide to cut ties with that version, you'll always feel stuck between your calling and your comfort. Greatness doesn't make room for identity confusion. It requires clarity. It requires decisions rooted in your future, not your past. That means waking up every day and asking, what does the highest version of me do today? And then doing it, whether you feel like it or not. Because the goal is not to feel familiar, the goal is to build legacy. And legacy is uncomfortable. Legacy is lonely. Legacy makes you unrecognizable to people who stopped growing a long time ago. You won't be able to explain your elevation to everyone. Some won't understand your discipline. Some won't understand your silence. Some won't understand your refusal to entertain drama, gossip, laziness, or distractions. That's okay. You're not here to be understood. You're here to become who you were always meant to be. And that version of you doesn't apologize for growing as it helps us. It doesn't apologize for changing. It doesn't apologize for rising above the limits that used to feel permanent. Every new season requires a new identity. You cannot conquer new territory wearing the mindset of a settler. You cannot build new systems operating from old emotions. You have to evolve mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and financially as it helps us. Your next level won't even recognize the version of you that's still entertaining small thinking and delayed action. And that's the point. You were never meant to stay the same. You were meant to grow, to rise, and to lead in a way that makes your past self look like a stranger. 7 days of radical focus can shift your entire destiny. Not 7 years, not 70 steps, not some distant future that keeps you stuck in waiting mode. Just 7 days. But not just any kind of 7 days. This isn't about casual effort or casual motivation. It's about radical, intentional, no excuse, locked in focus. The kind of focus that eliminates distractions, cuts off noise, and refuses to negotiate with mediocrity. Because what most people call discipline is really just convenience wrapped in good intentions. Radical focus, on the other hand, is war. It's a war against every habit, every thought, and every excuse that's been keeping you average. People underestimate what they can do in a short amount of time when they go all in. They assume change takes forever because they've never truly given anything their full energy. They've dabbled, tried, tested, but never fully committed. But when you decide that for 7 straight days, your focus is non-negotiable, everything starts to shift. Your patterns shift. Your self-perception shifts. The way people respond to you shifts. Momentum starts building, not because your situation has changed, but because you have. And once momentum kicks in, it begins to compound. Most people live in distraction loops. They start something, get excited, lose focus, get discouraged, stop, and start over again. It's a cycle that robs them of progress and identity. But 7 days of radical focus breaks the cycle. It forces you to choose what matters over what's easy. It forces you to make decisions based on vision, not emotion. It brings clarity because when your attention is fully aligned, confusion has no room to survive. Distraction can't live in the same space as conviction. When you lock in, your mind sharpens, your energy aligns, your priorities become obvious. The things you thought you needed, constant entertainment, endless scrolling, reactive conversations, they fall away. And what's left is purpose. What's left is action. What's left is the real you, the one that's been buried under layers of convenience and compromise. Radical focus isn't just about getting more done. It's about becoming someone new through the process of discipline. Every decision, every task, every step reinforces the identity of someone who takes their life seriously. You don't need more time. You need more intensity in the time you already have. You need to treat each hour like it matters because it does. Time is not neutral. It either builds your vision or it builds your excuses. The difference is focus. People say they don't have time, but the truth is they don't have clarity. When you know what you're building, distractions become irrelevant. Opinions lose their power. Comfort becomes a threat, not a reward. And your urgency becomes your advantage. In 7 days, you can rebuild discipline. You can rewire how you think, how you move, how you respond to pressure. You can create new standards that don't rely on how you feel, but on who you've decided to be. You can clean up your space, sharpen your routine, create systems that support your vision instead of sabotage it. You can confront the habits that are stealing your peace and replace them with actions that create progress. You can go from passive living to powerful execution, not because everything changed, but because you chose to change how you show up. Radical focus reveals what you're truly capable of. It forces you to face yourself without the excuses, without the distractions, without the comfort buffer that's been slowing down your purpose. And once you see how much power you actually have when you're fully engaged, going back to a casual, distracted life becomes unbearable. You've tasted alignment. You've experienced momentum. You've proven to yourself that 7 days of commitment can do more than years of half-hearted effort ever could.